Hey everyone, I'd like to do a real quick update on Holochain. It's been almost a week since the last time I did a video on this. But before I get started, of course, the usual. This isn't financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. This market is extremely risky and volatile, and you're responsible for your own trades, managing your own risk, and doing your own research. I'm here to give my opinion on the market. And last but not least, if you'd like to earn some free Bitcoin, I do have a little faucet that I use in the description for you to maybe give just a little bit of support without actually giving me anything in exchange. But at any rate, let's go ahead and take a look here at Holochain. I've been talking about this almost since it was first listed on Binance. If you were on the Discord server, we were talking about buying this at like 9, 10 Satoshi, and then, it did its run up to about 40 or 45. I don't remember exactly where it topped out, but, I remember posting in the Discord, hey, you know what? This is up 395%, so let's talk about selling. And so, I actually took all of my profit there, and everything that I'm trading in Holochain is simply house money at this point. So, it's all good. I do trade Holochain. It's something that I do swing just because I did have a lot of success with it back in the day, and so I like to keep an eye on it and continue to provide some liquidity in the markets on it as well. So. Just first and foremost, I just want to point out real quick, I am not in any position on Holochain right now. I've got some bids from 8,800 down to I think 85 or 8,600. I've got layered bids down in this area down here in this lower zone. So what I have sort of put on here, all of these different green lines here are my perceived support and resistance levels, and they all equate to major pivots or major resistance zones, major support zones. Each one of these lines equates to those. And I do sort of expect us to pull down here into this lower zone, which is again about 8,650 up to 8,900. So this is where the majority of my buys are located. I do have some down here closer to 8,500, but the majority of them are going to be in this horizontal area. This is where I am interested in accumulating. So something else I want to point out here on a trend-based fib extension from the top down to the bottom, and then a retrace on this. Couple things that I noticed. First off, we did our pullback to our 618. We did that a few times. And while I don't think we're going to come all the way back down here to the 100% retrace, which would mean that, if this was, let me put this in here, starting here at the top, if this was an A and a B, the C, very likely this could be the C, especially because of the time duration that it took for us to get down here. So this might take off without me. A lot of this, again, is going to depend on what Bitcoin does, because Holochain versus Bitcoin is pretty flat. Let me just show you what this looks like if you haven't looked at it. It doesn't really move a whole lot, right? So this is, 13. We're down here at 10. So it doesn't move too much. So any move on Holochain versus Tether is going to be almost directly related to however Bitcoin is moving at the time. And right now I think that Bitcoin has a lot more upward movement in the future. It is possible that even if Holochain moves down 1 Satoshi, right? Even if it moves down 1 Satoshi, that could quickly take us to, down here back to 9,000, back to 8,800 very easily. So that's one of the reasons why my bids are down here. I want to get a better entry compared to where we are up here. Of course, down here when we were consolidating above this zone yesterday, probably should have pulled the trigger, but I didn't. Of course, everybody gets a little greedy, right? But I'm not going to chase this, right? I am going to go ahead and just say that I missed out on this trade. I'm not going to chase the trade up here, even though we're really not talking about a whole lot, right? But in the grand scheme of things, I'm not going to be a buyer right here just because we're at resistance. We had a wick up here to about 9,500, almost 9,500. Then we had a rejection. We're sitting here at about 9,200. So If we're able to push back above 94, 9,500, I'll probably go ahead and buy back in on a retest and maybe swing trade this consolidation zone. But even if we do come up here, chances are pretty good we're going to push higher. But I do have the belief that we do have a lower entry that's possible at this point. If we take a look here, we're looking at the Stokes. The Stokes are looking a little bit overbought on that push up, and a push down is likely going to happen. The 12-hour does show that there's a lot more upward potential, but just because the 12-hour is showing up doesn't mean that our hourlies or our 2 hours are going to allow us to push back down just a little bit. So again, I'm going to wait for a better entry on this. If we break up above 9,500, I will say that we do have potential to claim a new support level, and then we have that rocket in the upward direction. I say rocket very, very loosely, of course. So something like this would be really great to see, but what I really want to see is I want to see a push down here and then move up. So I think both of those are going to indicate that we're going to be moving up, but I just don't want to take the trade here. If I did, it would be a very small position. So let's say my position is 100%. I would say at this point, I would be willing to only put in about maybe 10% right here because I still believe that we're going to come down again. If it comes down here to about 8,900, I might put another 10% in that trade, but I'm looking to fill probably 80% of the position down here in this zone if we are able to come back down here. So that's what I'm looking at here on Holochain. Our support zones that we've got, we're looking about 92 to 9250. Definitely that 9500 level is going to be important for more continuation to the upside, with our resistance, our major overhead resistance being here at about 9900. Now let's take a look at more of a long term and see what this looks like. Let's go to a day chart and see where we're at. So to put things into perspective, again, that 9,900 is going to be pretty significant resistance. That is our pivot from back here in March, and it's also been our resistance ever since we broke below it. The next level that we're going to see is this level right here, where we had, a little bit of consolidation and a little bit of resistance here. Then that claimed to be support, and this just goes to show we have a good solid move up here. And this actually equates to, that's a 40% move up, and then we had a 30% move down. So that just put things into perspective. We've had a good move up, and we do look like we're consolidating here very nicely, but just because we've moved up this far, so we've moved up 64%, doesn't mean that we can't move down. Even if we move down 30%, that takes us all the way back down to 7,000. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we have a decent trend line to pay attention to, and then we've got these support zones. So I would say our support that we have to keep right there is about 8,800 or so. I'm expecting a little wick below it. Again, back down here to maybe 8,600. But this general area is important for us to hold. If we break down below there, I would be looking to set my stop loss and just basically cut the loss and wait for a lower entry. But right now, of course, we are trading inside of this range. If we can push above that 9,900, then I do think we have a move up to 1,100. And just for good measure, that's going to be another 13% move from 9,900 to 11,000. If we take a look from up above, the next level is going to be 13,000 to 13,100. So, again, taking it from 9,900 or so, that's another 30% to the upside, 30 to 32%. So plenty of money to be made, but you just have to wait for the right entry. Because with alts, you can think of alts again, and I've talked about this before, you can think of alts as a 1x short hedge against Bitcoin, right? Or a leverage trade against Bitcoin. If your altcoin goes up in value, your Bitcoin holding should increase as well. And if the altcoin goes down, well, then that's obviously not good for you. So that's one of the main reasons why it's important to find a good entry, to know where your stop loss is, because if this thing falls below 8,500, I'll be cutting my ties. If this thing closes an hourly below 8,500, I'm out. I'm out and I'm going to wait for the next area. I would expect this level here at 77 or 7,800 to hold, but I'm not going to, I'm not going to bet that that's going to happen because, there is plenty of downside to be had. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting at right now. Right now, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for another move down here to 86 to 8,800, and then I'll be waiting for that move up to 13,000. So that's my play. That's my opinion, and I do think that we are going to start reclaiming these support levels. This first big one that we have to hold is again this 86 to 8,800. So that's what I've got on Holochain right now. If you have any questions, feel free to pop in the Discord. If you don't have an invite, throw a comment and I'll get you an invite code, no problem. And yeah, so thanks for joining, and hopefully we will